Hi, it's Christopher, Mono County Library Director and co-host of the Oxygen Starved podcast. And after a week off while I was at a library conference, I'm back with a new Book Talk Friday and two great library books to check out, one old and one new. And I'm going to start with the old this week, Kate Atkinson's Life After Life, which came out in 2013. Now, Atkinson is a best-selling author, and this book is one that helps cement her following. Here's a bit of the publisher description. On a cold and snowy night in 1910, Ursula Todd is born to an English banker and his wife. Ursula dies before she can draw her first breath. On that same cold and snowy night, Ursula Todd is born, lets out a lusty wail, and embarks upon a life that will be, to say the least, unusual. For as she grows, she also dies, repeatedly, in a variety of ways, while the young century marches on toward its second cataclysmic world war. Does Ursula's apparently infinite number of lives give her the power to save the world from its inevitable destiny? And if she can, will she? Startlingly imaginative, darkly comic, deeply poignant, this is Kate Atkinson at her absolute best. That's the publisher blurb. Now, it's an interesting conceit, right? It's been described as a kind of Groundhog Day scenario in which Ursula keeps dying and coming back each time a little more cognizant that she has lived before and thus maybe can use that knowledge to shape her future. To shape the world's future, perhaps. But Atkinson doesn't have her main character live the exact same actions over and over again. Rather, she uses this structure to show from one character's eyes, a character you come to know and understand, a variety of perspectives on an issue or an event, such as a wife stuck in an abusive relationship, or the aftermath of a bomb blast during World War II in London. Atkinson has Ursula there as a victim, but also separately as a rescuer, allowing the author to play out the protagonist in a multitude of ways from what is essentially the same story. Now, the novel does ask some big questions, and smartly enough, Atkinson doesn't try to answer all of them. Not everything is tied up into a neat bow. This book got great critical reception, with reviewers praising Atkinson's attention to small details of early 20th century life, her balance of poignancy and humor, and her ability to play mind games on the story without leaving the reader adrift. Most recently, it has been adapted for TV by the BBC, and it's airing now in the UK, so conceivably, we could see the adaptation here soon, too. Now, my pick for the newer this week is a little related. Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune. It's his newest. It just came out last fall. Klune is a best-selling fantasy author, and this book doesn't disappoint. In it, Wallace Price is a 40-year-old cutthroat attorney who has systematically alienated everyone around him, and he dies, unfortunately but not unsurprisingly, alone. But that's the beginning of the story, not the end, because much to Wallace's surprise, he next pops up at his own funeral, defiant and angry and resentful at the lack of turnout, very much in death the same person he had been in life. No one else there can see or hear him, of course, well, except for this stylish young woman who has just graduated to her very first solo outing as a reaper, a collector of the dead. And she's there to take him to see Hugo, the ferryman who helps the recently deceased cross over into the great beyond. Hugo also happens to run a shop selling tea and scones out of a ramshackle house on the edge of a forest. Hijinks ensue. You may have questions about what happens next, and well, so does Wallace. Many questions, in fact. In fact, throughout this book, it is said over and over and over again, it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to be confused. It's okay to take your time. And because this is a book about what happens next after you die, it is by default a novel about grieving. With a serious sensitivity that doesn't weigh the story down, Klune deftly shows that in learning to understand what it is to be dead, Wallace is in fact learning to what it is to be human. And no human, living or dead in this story, has all the answers that Wallace seeks. Well, there is a curious 10-year-old who eats flowers out of his hair, but you'll have to read the book to figure that one out. This novel is engaging, it's humorous at all the right points, and it's poignant in all the right spots. The bits arising from humans first confronting the afterlife reminded me of the delightfully funny books by Christopher Moore, while the careful and meaningful unfurling of a plot that makes the reader think about life and afterlife and purpose reminded me of the Narnia series by C.S. Lewis. At the end, of course, Wallace does learn what it is to be human, and it's a beautiful thing. That story, from first page to last, is a delightful escape that will leave you thinking about what it means to be human, too. This is Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune. This is Life After Life by Kate Atkinson, two delightfully provocative novels that you can get from Mono County Libraries. Come in and check these out, or find another great book to read. In the meantime, enjoy what's left of spring and happy reading.